Welcome back. Now we are going to take a look at an Android emulator in this session. Since you had already installed or brought up the Eclipse and Android SDK, so you will be able to run a sample Android application in emulator. An emulator looks like this. I had already showcased there before. The moment you run your Android application, it runs in the emulator. Earlier, if you are running a C program or a Java program, it used to run in the DOS prompt, right? Same way, your Android application will run in an emulated environment. There are software emulators and there are hardware emulators. And we will take a look at the software emulator which comes with the Android SDK. Emulator is also an executable that showcases your results. Like the moment you run an app, it will display your app inside the emulator, and then you can play around with your application and press menus and buttons and navigation. So the emulator, the name, it's been around like almost 40 years. So in 1963 in IBM they coined this term, and so in Wikipedia you can read a new combination of software, microcode and hardware that they call as an emulator. And people also call this a simulator, but it's not actually simulates any logic or for example a digital circuit or something. So we could very obviously call this as emulator, the way every other developers and testers calling. So this is Android emulator, and you could see that how we brought this app in using an AVD manager. So as I said earlier, so the virtual device manager, we created the specifications of this emulator, and then we managed to bring this app. So if I just edit this emulator, what are all the specifications we specified? It's a device and there is a target, and we have the CPU and whether we need the keyboard or not, and what is the skin, and information about camera, and we have memory options, and we also specified internal storage, and we also given a basic space for SD card. And the moment you run any sample application, your emulator will show up, and then it will have the basic structure of your phone. And the moment you the phone you chose, from the size or whatever, it will look like the same. So it will be the actual simulation of your phone. The emulator actually simulates your phone. So this is how it is, and it has, for example, various subsystems of an emulator. There is a CPU simulation, and there is a memory subsystem inside, and there is various I/O input-output functionalities put together. They create this emulator, and you don't need to really worry about how this emulator is made. Like, you just use this emulator to install your applications. In the beginning of any product development or project, they will not really give you the actual hardware, or the hardwares may not be really available. So during that time you can create multiple emulators, install your applications in there, and then you can run your program and check the navigations, the basic features of it, and then for example text, if you have the varieties of test cases written based on functional spec, you can almost all the features and functionalities you can verify using an emulator. And your emulator takes the internet of your PC or Mac, so you will be able to access internet as well. So I'll just showcase you that. So I'll just swipe it now, and then you can browse through your, for example, if you are developing a web app, and then you can go to the browser, and then you can type the URL to reach over to your web page or web page. Then for example, now I go to opera.com. It will navigate to opera.com. So this is how it goes, and actually it is navigating me to somewhere where I can download an APK. Now I'll show you a download as well within the emulator. Now it should download the Android APK from Opera website, and you could see that there is 3G and there is a power button. Just simulates, so it's not really having a 3G. You cannot make call, or you cannot really it's not really charging, so it's just a fake information. So now I'll be going to Google Play, maybe. I don't think Google Play is available here, but earlier website we saw that they asked us to download Google Play. I'll try to download the Google Play from there. There are multiple ways you can move your application to your emulator. For example, you can open your Gmail here and send the .apk file, which is the Android packaging file, and you can click on that APK from your mail. Then it will get downloaded like this. Now you could see that it is downloading probably the Google Play or the Opera itself. And also you can use ADB installation method inside your emulator, which we can see that later on. But as of now, I wanted to showcase you the emulator and the possibilities of an emulator. Possibilities, every feature can be tested inside the emulator. For example, the fonts, the buttons, and the navigations, the functionality of an app. But you may not be able to make a call. For example, your application opens camera, front camera. You may not be able to do that. Your application uses Wi-Fi, and you may not really be able to switch that to Wi-Fi. And your application makes calls, and you cannot really be able to call from your emulator. So there are different disadvantages are there inside being testing in emulator. But emulator gives you quick access to your application, and you can start testing right away. The moment you have an APK, you can start testing right away inside, install that inside, and you know, and then you can test. For example, you can access Gmail or your company email, and then you can receive your APK there, and then click on that there, so it will get installed, and that is how it goes. I'll showcase different installation methods later on, but right now I wanted to show you how an emulator looks like and what are all the possibilities are there. These are all the native apps, which is the phone book, already available in emulator, so you can play around with that. Since there is no contact showing, there is create a contact, and this is exactly the simulation of your phone. So if you have a phone, it will give you the same screens. If you don't have a account, it will actually ask you to create a Gmail account, and this is how it goes. So there is a home button here, there is some navigation buttons, you can download some games and play around in the emulator. So as of now, I understand that you have the full setup, the Android is set up in your PC or Mac, and you are playing around with your emulator along with my video. If you don't do it, I want you to do it right now, and this is really important that you play around with the emulator in the beginning and see. This is an application which is called API Demos, which I had installed earlier. So in this emulator, so this is a sample app which comes along with the Google SDK. So if you update your SDK samples, you will be able to see that. For example, I'll go back to I'll show you where exactly I get API demos. This is the SDK manager. I went to Window and I opened the SDK manager. Here it is, it goes here. So if you install this, you get the different apps. You can create an app from existing sample. So this is how it came, API demos. API demos are different platforms, have different varieties of API demos applications. So here SDK platform and SDK samples. So I'll go back to my where I left. I've been showcasing you API demos in the emulator. So here it is. So it's some animations. It should showcase a bouncy ball. Yeah. So multiple graphics stuff is showcased in this particular app. I go back and adding a button, and yeah, so that is how it goes. And there is also a power button which I can power off and on, just like your phone. Long press it. And you can pull up your emulator from here by running your test application as an Android. Run as Android application. It will automatically open your emulator. So I hope you will play around with your emulator in the beginning a little bit. So I'm ending this session with that note, and I hope I'll showcase the iOS simulator as well in the coming sessions. Yeah, thank you.